A Flash in the Dark, Chapter 28, Trapped. Barry leaned on the wall in front of the alcove that held the Flash suit. Caitlin cleared her throat behind the CSI. Barry kept staring at the suit. Then she sighed. "Do you think I'll ever wear it again?" she asked. Caitlin stepped up next to her friend. Barry sounded so sad, like she just lost another loved one. "I hope so," Caitlin said. Barry turned to face Caitlin and tried to force a smile. "I didn't have my speed for very long, but now that it's gone, it feels like part of me is missing too," she said, sighing heavily. Caitlin laid a hand on Barry's shoulder. "With or without your speed, you're still you, Barry," the doctor assured. Barry shook her head, looking over Caitlin's shoulder at where her suit stood on its mannequin. "But I'm not, though. Not the best version of me. I love being the Flash. That feeling you can only get running at hundreds of miles an hour, the wind and power rushing past my face. Being able to help people, I'm not sure I can live without it," Barry admitted. Caitlin was about to reply when Cisco quick-stepped into the cortex, a tablet in his hands. "Farouk Jabron," Cisco called out. Barry turned to him, an eyebrow raised. "Who?" she asked. Cisco held up the tablet in his hands. "The Powers vampire that stole your speed. I hacked into the security cameras over at the Petersburg substation. Once I got his face on the computer, it wasn't hard to find him," Cisco explained. Caitlin nodded at Cisco as Barry began to read the article. "He climbed an electrical tower the night the particle accelerator exploded," Barry muttered, shaking her head. Caitlin nodded. "No surprise where his powers came from, then," Caitlin said, shaking her head. All three of them were distracted as the front entrance motion alarm went off. Cisco raced over to the main console and pulled up the security feed. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. This is not happening," Cisco swore. Barry looked over Cisco's shoulder and swore under her breath. Farouk Jabron was standing outside shouting for Dr. Wells. They watched, unable to do anything as he blasted open the doors to the main electrical panel and drained it dry. Emergency lights blinked on, glowing bright red, casting sinister shadows around the cortex as the three friends stared at each other. "He's inside," Barry said as a crash echoed through the nearly empty building. Barry pulled out her phone. "I'm calling Joe," Cisco frowned. "No offense, but what are the cops going to do against someone like him?" Cisco asked. Barry shook her head as her phone rang through to voicemail. She tried Iris. "I don't know, but I don't have a better idea. Do you?" Barry snapped. Cisco shook his head. Barry swore as Iris's phone sent her to voicemail. "I can't get through to them. Hang on, I'm going to call Captain Singh." She dialed, silently praying that he would answer. He picked up on the 5th ring. "Not now," the captain answered. Barry breathed a sigh of relief. "Captain, do you know where Joe and Iris are? I can't get through to them," Barry asked. Captain Singh sighed. "There's a hostage situation at the precinct. Joe and Iris are inside. I need to go, Barry. I'll call you when I know more." Before Barry could say anything, the dial tone was sounding in her ear. She swore loudly, resisting the urge to throw her phone at the wall. Everything had to happen all at once, didn't it? And without her speed, she couldn't keep up. "Joe and Iris are in trouble. I need my speed back now." Barry was panicking. Dr. Wells wheeled forward. Barry hadn't even noticed him enter the room. "I have a theory, but it's untested," Wells said. Barry nodded at the wheelchair-bound scientist. "I am willing to roll the dice," she admitted. He nodded and began to explain. "You've lost your speed, yes, but nothing has changed inside you on a subatomic level. In other words, your cells are still primed," Wells explained. Cisco nodded at Dr. Wells. "We just need to jumpstart you," Cisco said, nodding and glancing at the now black monitor like it would show them how much time they had until the violent metahuman arrived. "Okay, how do we do that? How do we jumpstart me?" "We need to recreate the initial shock to your system," Wells explained. At that, Cisco shook his head. "But that would mean we need to achieve a peak current of at least 20,000 kiloamps," Cisco pointed out. Caitlin shook her head violently. "You're all insane! That's more electricity than they give people in the electric chair. Not having your powers means not having any of them. You don't heal fast anymore, Barry," Caitlin shouted. Barry remained silent. Caitlin, with Farouk in the building, we are all looking at a death sentence, Dr. Wells pointed out before he turned to Cisco, ignoring Caitlin, who was trying to talk Barry out of this suicidal idea. The spare generator was offline. I could get it running again. Sorry, bad pun. Not intended, Cisco said, glancing sideways at Barry. We need something that can transmit the load to Barry's body without shorting out, Wells pointed out. Cisco nodded and glanced up. The treadmill. My baby can handle it, Cisco assured him. Caitlin scowled at them. What if Barry can't? Caitlin demanded. Dr. Wells turned to Barry. That's up to Miss Allen, Wells stated. They all turned to Barry, who had been surprisingly quiet this whole time. She turned to the door and nodded to herself. I'm going to talk to him. All three scientists in the room loudly protested, but Barry cut them off. You didn't see him at the power plant. He was scared. I got super speed when the particle accelerator exploded. His best friends died. He woke up with a disease. He needs help. I don't need my speed to be able to offer him that. She ran off before they could argue further. They caught up to her easily. We're coming with you. We aren't going to let you do this alone, Cisco said. Barry nodded slightly, smiling at Cisco. But stay hidden, okay? I don't want you guys getting hurt, she said, nodding to them. They all agreed and went to head Farouk off at the entrance.